what qualifies for Golden Pledge is going to be TPO or Liberty. Okay, so either one qualifies. TPO, it's a little bit more tricky just because there's more that you need to know about it. But Liberty is the one that I'm going to talk about here today. So the Liberty is going to be, what qualifies low slope is anything underneath a 2 and 12. So technically a 2 and 12. If you ask any person out there, it's going to be from a 3 and 12 and under. Just because even from a 3 and 12 and from a 3 and 12, you're still going to get that expansion of water. Is going to try to find that, you know, that a way inside the system. So for me, 3 and 12 technically, for GAF 2 and 12. Okay. So with this Liberty system, we have different colors. It's kind of hard to get because of the whole market and all that kind of stuff, but we have different colors out there. From an installation point of view, the biggest things are like what I would have on my back of my truck would be roofing cement, big bucket of roofing cement. You can get a 4-inch drip edge metal. What I would recommend is to get, you can't get 4-inch, ideally you should get a 5-incher, 5-inch metal drip edge, the base sheet, and then the top sheet that goes on top. So the finished sheet, whatever you want to call it. Now, depending on the system, if it's a re-roof, if it's an old existing roof, you had low slope application on it before, then you do need primer. If it's brand new wood, then you don't need primer. I think the primer is called 207, Matrix 207. Yeah, it is. It's Matrix 207. What that primer is for, it's kind of like for PVC. You know, like whenever you're using PVC, old PVC, you use the primer to help it stick. It's the same thing with that primer for the wood. So if I'm using the primer, if I've checked it out and I've noticed that it's an old system, you can either use rags, you can use sponges, you can use brooms, whatever you want to use to clean it off. So you're going to go thoroughly through the wood. Now you have to wait for it to flash. Some people don't wait for it to flash off, and what that means is that you have to wait for it to kind of dry off a little bit. So that way, whenever you go over it, it'll actually stick on. If you go right after, if you start, applying the membrane right afterwards, then it probably will not stick. So you got to make sure to wait for it to flash off. So, 30 minutes. I would say like 30 minutes. Now that you have that, now let's go ahead and grab our 5-inch or 4-inch metal drip edge. What I have to do before is that I have to make sure to put roofing cement underneath it. So underneath the drip edge, put roofing cement. We make one, for whatever reason, it's super hard to find, but it's called Matrix 307. But any kind of mastic, Henry's, roofing cement, anything will do. So you're going to put it underneath. Now you're going to apply it onto your roof, right? Apply it. And just like we have a code or a spec for nails on regular drip edge, it's going to be the same thing for that low slope one too. For that one, we've got to go every 4 inches in a staggered pattern. That one, you should be probably taking every tape measure for that one. So 4 inches in a staggered pattern all the way through. Now, once I have that, I've got to go over my drip edge all around the perimeter with the roofing cement as well. So underneath it, nails on top of it, then roofing cement on top. Okay. Now we're pretty much done with that. Now the next thing that I'm going to apply is going to be my base sheet. So that very first base sheet, it's very similar to this stuff here. Very, very similar to Weather Watch. It comes in about a 38-inch roll, almost a little bit over 3 feet. But with that base sheet, what I would do is I would cut it in half. So if it's 20 feet, 10 feet, cut out 20 feet of it, measure it, chalk line it, and then cut it in half. The reason why we cut it in half is because the base sheet and the top sheet that goes on top of it is the same size. So if I put my base coat or my base sheet that's this size, and then I go over it with another sheet that's this size, by the time you get to this point here, where they line up, you're gonna have a border that's about that big. So by cutting the base sheet, the first sheet in half, when you go over it with your cap sheet, the lap right here will not be as thick. Okay. So again, just remember to cut off that base sheet in half, about 18 inches. Now, when you lay it down, you've got to make sure to do it nice and slow, just like with an iPhone case or with an iPhone screen protector. Every one of those little bubbles can be a void. So make sure to go in there nice and easy, nice and slow, and make sure that it's on there. Same thing with the cap sheet. I would get 2 people. If I have one person here, I would have a person next to me, and then kind of like finger it in there, right? Yeah, and then make sure that you have no voids over it. With the base sheet, you only have to cut this the first row in half. The rest of it can go in full sheets. Okay. Once you've got that done, with your cap sheet, with the finish sheet, you don't have to cut it in half. Just full sheets all the way through. Okay. The one thing that I would recommend you do on the cap sheets is that where it lines up, right here where it lines up, I would put about a 12-inch bead of mastic just to secure it. Okay. Sometimes what you tend to get is you get little like fish holes, and this is with all of them. I was talking to Mitos, I've seen it, a couple other people on the team have seen it, where sometimes you get fish holes right here because of the laps, right? When you put one over the other one, you get a small little hole right here. So the best way to secure it with any product or any kind of low slope application that's like Liberty is to put a bead of mastic about that long. That way you push it in, you don't get any water from wind-driven rain. You put that in there, put your cap sheet, you're good to go. Now, on transition, so if you're working on a wall, roof to wall transition, you've got to make sure to put it in a cant strip. Okay, you can buy them at ABC, you can buy them at Beacon or whatever, but you don't have to use it. The reason why I tell you that you don't have to use a cant strip from a distribution, you can make your own, is because they sell them in big bundles, right? So you can just cut out a piece of plywood, something that's going to break this 90 here, and just put it in there, just screw it in, so that way when you apply the Liberty over it, it can make the 45-degree angle change right there, because that Liberty product, you can't make 90s. It'll break. It will, but then it'll break over time. So by putting that cant strip in between, it's going to help make that 45 and make a better angle change for you. Okay. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it for the Liberty. Just remember, I think the biggest thing for us to remember is to cut the first base sheet, to cut it in half, get 5-inch over 4-inch metal drip edge, put mastic underneath the drip edge and over it as well. I think those are the biggest points for that. Okay. Folks, any questions, any concerns, or anything that I may have missed? All good?
Yeah, against the wall. Yeah, 5 inches.
Yeah, 5 inches. Yeah, 5 inches up that wall too. Yeah. Making sure that you have your cant strip in there, so make the angle change. Any other questions? You guys feel good now with the golden wedge and what we're looking for? Well, folks, I mean, if you have no other questions, then thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time, a few hours, and if you have any questions, you can get with me. I don't have any business cards, Jack too, so just ask me, and I can give you my email, phone number, and all that good stuff. If you have installers, I'm bilingual, so if you have any installers that have any questions, anybody, give them my phone number. We can talk and kind of walk them through any steps too. So, all right,
awesome.
y'all.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
I
Leo.
appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Major?
Okay, wait, before you guys go, thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you guys. My teammates here. It's really quick. I want to make sure, thank you very much, Leo. Did a great job.
Appreciate it.
And I want to just hand out some little prizes, making sure you guys listened to what Leo said. And I'm gonna put you on the spot again.
No,
if
we're
you
good.
just ask them some questions, review, and then I'll give you guys, whoever gets it right, I'll give you guys a gift card.
There we go.
Just a cup
there
of coffee,
we go.
you guys. It's not a lot, but
All right.
it's a Starbucks gift card. All right.
Yeah, I forgot about that.